Do you need cash? Do you want to consolidate debt? Premier Credit can help. They provide quick and confidential loans for any reason. Their service is same day, and most loans are approved within minutes. You can apply in person or by the phone. Their experienced and knowledgeable loan professionals will leave you feeling confident that your loan is being properly handled in a secure manner. Premier Credit can be reached at 225-667-8100, or you can email WeSayYes@premiercredit.com, or stop by and spin the wheel at 139 Del Norte Avenue in Denham Springs. They're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and are a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
Hi, it's Tricia Johnston, residential realtor with Ladder & Blum with your real estate tip of the week. Buying a house can be overwhelming, but there are some things you can do to make the process less stressful. First, get pre-approved. This makes sure that you're looking in the right price range and you're ready to submit an offer when you find the right house. Second, make a list of must-haves. These are the things that are most important to you, such as location, property size, school district. Third, make a list of wants. These are the things that you would like to have, but if everything else is right with the property, you can make those changes after you move in. For instance, if you'd like to have no carpet or you'd like to have a fence. Lastly, don't get discouraged. If the right house for you isn't for sale yet, more houses are listed for sale every day, so your house is coming. Buying a house is so exciting and something you've probably worked really hard for. So do these things and you'll enjoy the process a whole lot more. If you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm Tricia Johnston with Ladder & Blum, and I'll be back here again next week with your next tip.
The effects of the COVID shutdown had a dramatic effect on local business, and some more than others. My guest today felt these effects probably more than most in his business. Rather than bury his head in the sand, he did what leaders do. He adjusted his business and used social media to his advantage. We're going to learn a lot today about Tony Achord, his business, and a great upcoming auction you will not want to miss. So with that, welcome Tony Achord to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Oh, it's a pleasure is all mine. I'm a big fan. I watch your auctions all the time. Your Facebook Lives, I've spent more money than I care to admit, but definitely got deals that I wouldn't have got anywhere else. So you enabled me to do that, and I do appreciate that. Now, you've been an LP guy your entire life, having grown up in Walker, right down the road. You put your business in Walker. And you light up the area as the auctioneer for Livingston Parish. Everybody knows you for that. And honestly, you have a voice that, quite frankly, was made for auctioneering. So I want to get into a little history on you, where you went to high school, and how you ended up as an auctioneer, that sort of thing. So kind of give me a
Jim, I graduated from Walker High School in 1979.
The Wildcats.
And I signed with ULL in football, played ball at ULL. When I left ULL, my daddy had opened up a small auction company, and I just started auctioneering. You know, I watched my dad kind of follow in his footsteps. He provided me an opportunity to have a lot of practice, and so it just went from there. It grew. Finally, my daddy retired. After I got out of college, I went to work for Energy Corporation.
Okay.
Worked for them for 16 years. And then I saw an opportunity where my sideline job could actually provide better for my family than my full-time job.
Sure.
So that's when I went into auction business full-time, opened a business on Buddy Ellis Road.
Yep.
Bought a piece of property, and it's grown to this point. We're basically family operated. You know, we're not employees are very limited.
Sure.
It's a family run operation. If you notice, my daughter, my wife, every one of them's involved, and it provides a living, but it also, more than that, it provides Livingston Parish. Well, you know, you got all the stores in Denham Springs. Well, they have a source, you know. So I have merchandise that comes in. As a matter of fact, we have a 40-foot high Q container. My guys are unloading right now. It's an architectural container from France, and that. We also get merchandise in from England, Argentina, and I have 3 or 4 pickers that send me an 18-wheeler. Well, before pre-COVID,
sure,
they would send me an 18-wheeler once a month of picked items in the Chicago area to just turn over and sell.
Wow.
Now, I wasn't the only one they send to. They have another client in California, another client, but because I've been with them so long, that they just continue to send me merchandise once a month. They sell it absolute without no reserve.
Interesting.
And so that's how I got into it. And
yeah, and you know, it's interesting because your voice, it's like you were born to be an auctioneer. You can't just manufacture that voice. You got to have.
Well, when, you know, fortunately for me, I've had a lot of my school teachers that are now customers of mine.
Yeah.
A lot of the same school teachers as the one that sent me to the office for talking too much. And I pick at them all the time. And at my auction, I'll have 5 or 6 of them in the crowd. And they all come to my sales now and support me. And Miss Margaret Peak, I know McHugh knows them. Miss Margaret Peak, Mr. John Curtis, the principal of Live Oak, Mr. Warren Curtis, yet all of these teachers that were were teachers to me in high school. Now they actually, that used to send me to the office for talking, now comes in
to hear you talk.
To hear me talk.
Life comes full circle.
It does, doesn't
Isn't
it,
that
brother?
interesting?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. And you know, it's I'll tell you a quick story. I had a customer one time. I was talking to him and had never met this guy. And he opened his mouth and he said about 5 words to me. And I said, "Brother, you sound like a preacher. That's your voice." And he says, "Well, I am a preacher."
I am a preacher.
And I found that interesting because it was like, he couldn't have been anything else. His voice was just, the second I heard it, I'm like, "Man, you got to be a preacher." And he said, "Well, I am." It's just that booming, commanding voice that some people just have. You could have been born without it, but you were born with it. I believe everybody has a calling, and you found yours. And it's funny. I was talking about this a couple of episodes ago, that some people don't find their calling ever, and then some people don't find their calling until late in life. But I find myself very blessed. I found mine very early in life.
Amen.
And you're right where you should be, in my opinion. You're a great auctioneer.
Thank you.
Huge fan of yours, and your history is pretty neat. Now you've seen that area grow up since you put your Southern Heirs Auction right there on Buddy Ellis.
Absolutely.
You got a giant hospital right there.
Absolutely.
Those things were not there when you first had that building. I would
nothing was
imagine.
there.
Yeah, it was just.
It
amazing.
was basically almost a dirt road because we've been there for 23 years.
Yeah.
So yes, the whole area has exploded. Exploded.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for all of us. Now, what would you say is, you've been there a long time? How many? Over 2 decades, correct?
Right.
Yeah. And I would imagine, what do you think your key to your longevity has been there? Is it your customer base is so loyal, or?
Of course, at this particular time, antiquities is not as popular as what they were 15 years ago. When we first opened our business, we had, and I know a lot of local dealers that are still in business when I opened, or when my dad was in business, they've seen it change. The whole business change. I used to have, it wasn't unusual for me. We got 6 roll-up doors in our building, and we had trailers backed into every door when we opened up 20 years ago. Wow. Alabama, Texas, Arkansas, these dealers would come from all over and fill their trailers up and haul it off. I would say the business has changed considerably. The market price on antiquities from 10 years ago, Jim, till now is at least a 50% drop.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've got a lot of hand-chosen antiques in my house that my wife had bought over the years before we built our house 15 years ago. Yeah. And I bought them at great prices 15 years ago, great prices. Sure. And I couldn't get half my money back for the stuff I've got in my house. The market has changed dramatically. You see a lot of stuff that I sell now that is decorator stuff. You know, that lady before that loved that beautiful burl mahogany vanity. Now she loves that beautiful cream painted.
No doubt. Chalk paint and everything else.
So you adjust to the market. And one thing I think you do, Jim, is in 23 years of being in this business, I don't have one enemy. I have, you know, we have always took our customer and we'd rather give you a dime than take a nickel. Yeah. And in the auction business, there have been some questionable, scrupulous things that they've been some auctioneers. Sure. Okay, there have. You know, I mean, you've heard of them. What we've done or tried to do with me and my family is take the complete opposite approach to where we handle every customer like they're one that spends $200,000 a year with us. Yeah. Whether you come in and spend $10 or you spend $10,000, we try to treat everybody the same. And we want everyone to leave there happy. Now, you can't make everyone happy because it's an absolute sold as is where is, right? Sure. That's not necessarily true, though, because we try to identify flaws. When a piece of furniture comes up, if I happen to notice that the leg's loose, you know, I'm going to say, hey, guys, you got to tighten up this leg. You know, if we notice that the back end of a drawer is missing, we don't nail the drawer to the front of the face like some auctions may have before. Yeah. We tell them, hey, look, it's just a cover. You got to build a drawer for it. Does it change the price? Absolutely, it changes the price, but we're in it for the long haul. Yeah. And we want repeat customers, right? We want the same people. We make our living off of dealers. Yeah. I mean, you know, do we love the general public? Absolutely, we love the general public. But probably 75% of all our products are sold to antique dealers or resale. Sure. So that's why that we have survived.
Yeah, that's your bread and butter.
We sell everything absolute. Yeah. There's something else. A lot of people advertise that they do. You know, then you come back to an auction, you see 2 or 3 of the same things that was there last time and go, well, how'd I get back in there? Yeah. If it was absolute. We really do. If I don't sell an item in an auction and I say pass, and that's just because we couldn't get a bid. Yeah. If we get a bid, we're going to sell it. Yeah. You know?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And you know, I agree with you in that. So I'm in the paint business, and in my business, what I find is the same thing. I want that general public business, and I'm going to take care of them like they're a contractor that buys $100,000 a year worth of paint. But the contractor that buys, you know, $100,000 worth of paint, that's the bread and butter. That's what you know. You that's right. That's right. But the bonus on that is the people that come in that hear about you that may say, hey, I haven't tried your paint, but I've heard good things, and I want to try a gallon. And we want all those we can get in your business same way. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all, from sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word. So that's, and that really is, I would say, a longevity thing with you that people notice. You haven't made an enemy. And when you don't make enemies, you're usually going to last a while.
And I think it's also to the fact that we never turn down charity events, Jim. If we do probably 20 charity auctions a year. Now, COVID has been a little different because we can't assemble, right? But before that, we do the Assess the Need, we do the NRA, we do the Hard Foundation, we do the school auctions, and we do them all. Live Oak, Walker, Denham, anybody that asks us for our help, we do it. Yeah. And I think that giving back to the community, helping the community any way you possibly can, I think that's what helps you survive in the long run.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And the chamber, you've done charity auctions for the chamber.
I do it for the chamber. I do it for I can't name them all right now, but I do anyone and everyone that I can possibly do. Yeah. And that's from Central to Zachary, Walker, Baton Rouge. It doesn't matter. We do anything. The golf tournaments, all the foundation tournaments they have at Greystone. I try to go do all of those auctions and donate to them. What's a $150 piece that I sell on Tuesday night online, but if you put it in a charity event, it brings $700. Well, that $700 means a whole lot to those people that's doing that charity event for a sick child or for a sick parent or for just a foundation auction,
Sure. And we obviously, and the whole community appreciates you doing that. And it's about giving back.
Absolutely.
And that's where people see a side of you that they don't see when you're behind that microphone, for your own business.
Right.
So that's fantastic. Now, March, we're all rocking along in our businesses, whatever it may be. You're auctioning along and doing your thing, and all of a sudden, boom, this COVID thing hits, and it's like nobody can come to an auction anymore because you can't be around each other. This is even before face masks were
still there.
Mandated. We're still there.
It still there. Changed.
No, not really.
Not in the auction business because you got to remember, in the auction business, unlike a restaurant, you can cut off and say, hey, we're full. Yeah. What do I do in a live auction? Do I stand at the door and count out 50 people and say the rest of y'all can't come in? No.
Yeah.
I can't. And I can't social distance because I don't have a big enough area.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So you adjusted.
Yes.
COVID kind of forced it, and looking from the outside in, if I could find something maybe positive, and there, it's hard to find anything positive about it, but one thing it probably enabled Southern Heirs to do was attract a customer that they may not have been able to attract in person. I speak from experience in that it's real easy to do that stuff online. It's too easy. But a great thing for me, because I got 3 kids, and my weekends, I work hard during the week. At night during the week, my kids are in band and all those sorts of things. So getting out to an auction, as much as I would love to, was almost impossible, until at least another couple years. Absolutely. So this Facebook thing was great for me because I could go on there and it's like I'm there in person. That was kind of, in your opinion, as the owner, has it, it's hard for me to say, has it helped your business, because I know it's different. You set a price versus doing everything on an auction. So would it have brought more? Probably so. I would imagine. Yeah, definitely. So what my hope is out of this is that people that were doing this on Facebook that maybe didn't know about you before or hadn't ventured out before, when everything goes back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later, you'll be able to maybe get some people in that door that maybe you wouldn't have gotten before because they just weren't familiar with you. What's your take on that?
We had an auction. The last one was in March.
Yeah.
We got through the auction, and that next week, that was before mask. That was before social distancing. That was before I mean, at that time, they were just discussing COVID, right?
Right.
And we all kind of felt like, nah, we've heard that before, right? We've had SARS, we've had the swine flu, or that might be the same thing, probably is. But we were conscious of it, but we really never thought that it would be like it was, right?
Agreed. Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody could predict that. So we had an auction. The week after the auction, now, is the following Friday is when we all went in quarantine. Remember they closed the school?
Oh, yeah.
Lockdown the following Friday. Well, Monday, me and my wife are sitting at the house, and it's about 6:30. And I looked over at my wife and I said, I feel funny. She said, I do too. I said, what? She said, yeah. We went and checked the fever. We both had 100-degree temperature. Boom. Just that quick. Well, let's fast forward the story. They wouldn't see us. They wouldn't let us go to the hospital. They wouldn't test us for the cold or flu. So we don't really know if we had COVID or not COVID, but I'll tell you, we lost taste and smell for 3 days before they were even saying that you were going to lose taste and smell.
Yeah.
We run fever 102.5, had trouble getting out of bed. So let's fast forward the story. So I said, we're completely out of business. I mean, we've got product, but we don't have a way to move product. And my youngest daughter, who, those 30-year-olds are on the ball with Facebook. Right. She's the one tearing it helps me.
Oh, yeah.
So she said, Dad, she said, let's do a Facebook sale, Facebook auction. I said, well, I don't really think we knew a Facebook auction. The lag, and she said this, the lag you got between you announcing an item, by the time you get your bids in, it take 10 hours to do. I said, but we could do a sale, couldn't we? And she said, yeah. And she had to talk me into it.
Yeah.
She had to I'm stuck in my way.
Oh, yeah. We all are.
I always figured, hey, so I talked to some of my suppliers, one of them particularly in New York, another one that ships to me that just says sell absolute. Another one that I got out of Illinois. And they said, listen, we're out of business too. So we think what you're doing is a fantastic idea. You know our cost. We need to move product, add your commission to it, and just blow that stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's what we started doing. And we were able to reach a different customer base. Now I'll be honest, I was very skeptical. I mean, she had to talk me into this, my daughter.
Sure.
And we were able to reach another customer base. We were able to provide the public as well as our dealers with a price on a product that they had never seen before.
Yeah.
Okay. Because let's be honest, we might have sold them at my auction but only touch a small amount of people in my auction, and mostly dealers.
Sure.
Well, all of a sudden the public started going, my God, look what this guy sells this stuff for. And it's done well. I mean, is it limited? Sure. Because in an auction, let's be frankly honest, you put this piece up, it might bring the same thing we sell it for online, right?
Yeah.
But it might bring 3 times that amount.
People get competitive.
Yeah. Well, in this particular one, the only thing they're competitive about is me saying the lot number and sold first.
Yeah.
Because there's only one of them or 2 of them. And it's been, it allowed our business to pay the bills and stay afloat during a time period like none of us has ever seen before, right?
Yeah.
And I had to go back to my daughter and say, because now I don't really know, I'll go back to having live auctions, of course, but I don't know if I'll ever do away with this, because this is a meaningful way for people like yourself to get on there on a Monday night or Wednesday night after, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and flip on their phone and put sold lot number 2 and their pieces there. And we have several pickup times for them to pick it up.
Yeah, you really do. You make it super easy, and you're also very fluid in that if someone has a problem getting there at a certain time or something, you can, you can hold it for them, whatever.
We've got stuff that's been in there since March.
Wow.
We have stuff that people have not picked up since March. But I mean, it's not like we're going to throw it away or resell it again.
Sure.
It doesn't belong to us.
Right.
And that's how you stay in business.
That's a great attitude to have. Yes, indeed.
And
yeah, make them happy. I mean, and that's what it's all about. But so you definitely, with your daughter's help, you came up with kind of a new way. And, I sit back and I think about sometimes the internet sometimes drives me nuts, and the internet sometimes I say thank God for, because had it not been for social media, what options would you have had? And
I've been out of business.
Yeah, I mean, and several other businesses that rely on social media now to get their product out. So I thank God for that there was an avenue, because Tony, 15 years ago,
I was done.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about timing, ain't it?
Amen.
One way or the other. So thank God for that.
Looking out for his own, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'll bring this up. You have 25,000 followers on Facebook. That's amazing, my man. That's unbelievable. There are people that are some pretty successful cats in this, not only in this area, but worldwide, that don't have 25,000 followers. That's a lot of love, Tony Achord.
I love them back.
Yeah, I know you do. And it speaks to who Southern Heirs is as a business. Triton HealthCare, located at 8128 Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs, offers a wide range of physical therapy services for a number of chronic and acute ailments. Whether it's sports injuries, injuries from accidents, or neurological disorders, Triton HealthCare can take care of it. They offer post-surgery rehab services, which is a specialized sports medicine program, and massage, as well as occupational and speech language therapies. So check out Triton HealthCare, who has been an active part of the Livingston Parish community since 1999 and are dedicated to providing the very best and rehabilitative care to all Livingston Parish residents. They can be reached at 225-791-8666, and they are a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. And who Tony is as a person, you don't get 25,000 followers unless you have a lot of respect, a lot of love from the people. These are mostly locals, and so I think it's awesome that you attract that many people to, so please don't ever stop doing this. Even if it's stuff, I think I'm going to do a sale on this on Facebook instead of, because you're right. It really does help those of us that aren't quite to the point that we can just venture out whenever we want to, but we just love what you do. So I just think it's awesome. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you liquidate estates. One of the questions I have would be, is there like a minimum amount you'll be willing to liquidate? 500 items, or is it 100 items? Is there a number there or is it something where somebody might have 4 pieces, but they're worth a ton of money each? Yeah. Would you be willing to?
Well, we've done estates to where it's just like you say, hey, we went through the estate and you only have 10 pieces that is really worthy of auction.
Yeah.
The rest of it's garage sale.
Yeah.
So you'll get those 10 pieces, sell it for them, make them happy. Then you have other cases to where a person has a whole estate and you want it all. Yeah. And you can sell it all for them. We also transport them to our auction house, or we can do on site like we're doing in Zachary next weekend.
Yes.
And we often, even with the stuff that sometimes, there has to be a medium there to where you can go from this stuff, it will return enough money to justify going and load it up and bring it to auction. So there has to be that number. But then again, even if it's not enough for me to do the whole estate, Jim, a lot of times we can say, well, hey, Jim, those 4 or 5 items might be worth this. What? because people don't even know it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably both ways around. Sometimes you get kind of caught up in sentimental value, and then you hit them with
too much
real value. Yeah, and it's like that's got to be a tough thing to kind of explain to somebody. This is worth. It's priceless to you, but there's 6,000 of this on the market, and it's just not something that
you know how many times that I've been into an estate that the sentimental, you can't sell sentimental.
No.
I mean, it's a great thing that you love grandma's vanity.
Yeah.
But you're the only one that loves grandmother's vanity. So the person that I sell it to doesn't really care about the sentimental part that you had. And when they go in and look at it and you tell them, hey, it's worth $100, $150, and they thought it was worth $1,000, you hurt feelings.
Sure.
But there's a certain way to let people down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the first thing you lead into is, first of all, if it's that sentimental, you should never sell it.
Right.
I wouldn't if I knew it was only worth $150. Well, now you made the person know that they should keep it forever.
Yeah.
So it serves both sides of the spectrum.
Now, yes, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, you've done a lot of, how many auctions have you done? If you had, I know you can't give me a solid number, but if you had to estimate, thousands?
Well, let's see. I started calling when I was 22 and I'm 57. And I probably at least average one a week.
Wow.
So if you say 50 a year, 1,000, 1,500 auctions.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So in all that time, Tony, what would you give me what you would call your biggest success story on an auction?
Do I have to do me or can I do a friend of mine?
You can do a friend of yours.
Let me tell you this one. And it wasn't me. I'm always the guy that makes commission.
Sure.
But I had a guy that I was buying. My dad had actually started with him. And this was 40 years ago. And his name was, I can't even remember his last name. It was in the papers. His name was Dougie.
Okay.
And Dougie would send my daddy what they call trash European containers. In other words, the shipping cost more than the product that was inside the container. And my daddy loved that.
Yeah.
You got to know my father's, and he's huge in the risk versus reward kind of guy.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? I'm just the opposite. I'll jump in and dive in head first. But anyway, this guy his name's Dougie, and this article was in, I think it was the USA Today that I read it in, but his name is Dougie, and I never met the guy in my life, but I knew him because I emailed him all the time.
Sure.
And once I took over the business completely, then I kept buying from him, but we upped the product, Yep. I mean, I saw my dad buy before a container, Jim, that the shipping cost $4,000, but what was in it only cost $2,000. So he got through and he made $1,000, and we had to fight that whole container. But listen to this story. What Dougie done was, and in England, it's a lot different than America, which means in England, the population in London is tremendous, right?
Sure.
And Dougie actually told me this one time that he would chase obituaries. And when he sees somebody die, he contact their family. Yeah. He was a grave chaser.
Yeah, he's a hustler now.
And he had him a little box truck. And Dougie went one time and they had they called a brownstone, right?
Yeah.
And he said he walked in this brownstone and he said somebody had called him and he walked in and they said they had a mahogany bookshelf that was a 4-shelf mahogany bookshelf. And on that bookshelf, they had some Oriental porcelain that this particular lady who had passed away, that the kids had called him. And he said, oh, my goodness, another one of these.
Yeah. So
he loaded it up and he took the box of porcelain and took it and bought it. And, he would get like 50%. In other words, he'd get like 50% commission. So he was already there. So he picked up the $30 bookcase and what he thought was $30, $40 worth of bases, brought it to his little auction house that he had in London. And when he puts the vases out, he went through and took pictures to advertise an auction. Coincidentally, that weekend was Asian weekend in London. Okay, so they had all these Asians in. One of our couple people picked it up off the local paper. You know, it was a little small local paper, Doug asked him. The guy walks in, one of these particular bakes was like Ming Dynasty. Oh, yeah. Well, there was a grandmother that died, but her grandfather was in World War II. Okay, so some way he come home with this vase.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shorten the story. I'd love to give you all the juicy details, but the guy comes in, says, I'm not sure that I can be here at your sale tomorrow, but I'm going to leave you an absentee bid of $1 million.
Alrighty.
Okay, well, that ain't the best of the story. Some way it gets picked up by the guy that come in to see the vase, ends up contacting somebody else, and they do the guy that left $1 million shows up at the auction, but they had a phone-in bid. He gets $12.2 million for the vase.
You gotta be kidding.
He got 50% commission. He got 50. So I get an email, and I kept it forever. And Dougie sent me an email, sent me a copy of the article to read, and said, by the way, no more containers. I'm retired.
Yeah, he's done.
I'm retired. But I've never got one of those stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where, but I think my best one was I paid 25 and got 50.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's a great story.
That is a great story.
Great story.
That's, golly, man, could you imagine? And
no, I can't.
You know, and vases are something that 99% of them probably not worth a whole lot. And then you run across those Tiffany's.
I don't know how many Oriental vases I have sold them, and some of them look old and some of them's got marks, but I mean, you can go to the book of marks and check them out, but you still don't know even by that.
Yeah.
You've got to specialize in that field.
Yeah, you definitely do. And that's that, you have to have, I would imagine from your perspective, a pretty good general knowledge of all things antique to kind of know how to push this stuff.
I like the way you put it, Jim, general, because you can't know it all about a particular item unless you collect or specialize in that particular item.
Yeah.
Like my wife collects Roseville pottery.
Yeah.
Okay. And we probably have a couple hundred pieces of it in our house. Overpaid for a lot compared to what it's worth now. We were actually investing it for retirement, right?
Right.
Well, then we found out that we've lost half our retirement in the last 10 years. And look, he knows, right? But when she got into that heavily, say 10 years ago, well, I got into it, right?
Sure.
Well, I knew everything there was to know about Roseville. I could walk up, look at you on the shelf, tell you what book value was on it, what the pattern was, when it was made, now, as an auctioneer, you just got to know, hey, that's Roseville.
Yeah.
And it's worth something. Now let's go to a book.
Yeah.
You got to know a little bit about everything, but not too much about anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And, talking about valuable items that you or friends have kind of auctioned off and stuff like that, what would you say the strangest item you ever auctioned? I'll tell you one from last week that I was that close to getting was that Bigfoot. That 7 foot. He had a 7 foot tall Bigfoot that hand carved, and I'm like, that would be perfect in a podcast room, just sitting right here,
and just great to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, it's stuff like that. That is so far out of the box, Tony Achord, that I'm like, I almost had to have it.
Well, the guy sent it in, and he did tell me, look, on a Bigfoot, I got to get this or I can't sell it. He said, because I've got more than
a lot of work. A lot of work in that,
I get it.
too.
And, a lot of times you can set something in your auction house.
Yeah.
And there'll be somebody walk in and got to own that Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
LeAnn's Flooring by Design, conveniently located on Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs. LeAnn can service all of your flooring needs. Give them a call for an appointment at 523-7004. At LeAnn's Flooring by Design, they stand behind everything you walk on.
The weirdest item I've ever sold. I don't know that I can. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
There's been a lot, but I don't know of one that absolutely just jumps out at me. You know what I mean? I guess because I've sold junk sales where everything's $3 items.
Yeah.
And then I've sold, we liquidated the Pennington Mansion.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Penningtons moved from their big mansion and we sold out the Pennington Mansion. We sold out. Oh, well, let me give you this. This is pretty cool. This is an interesting story. When we sold out Miss Donna Douglas, Ellie Mae Clampett, two things that come out of that I thought was pretty cool. We got ready. We were fixing to leave. Now, if you knew Miss Donna Douglas, Ellie Mae Clampett, she just, sun was the enemy. So if she went outside to work in a garden, Miss Donna, in her later years especially, would wear long sleeves gloves and a big, huge garden hat, and it was all pink, right? Miss Ellie Mae was all pink.
Yeah.
We were getting ready to leave her house. We were loading. We were there with her son, Danny Bourgeois, and which is another funny story that I find amazing. When Danny would tell me how he'd wake up in the morning when his mother was in Hollywood, Danny would tell me stories how the mama would be passing through, Miss Donna, and wake him up at 2:00 in the morning and be Elvis in the car with him. Okay. And I mean,
how about that?
And that's, and anyway, we got ready to leave that estate, but two things out of that estate. She had a utility shed in the back that had a dirt floor. Okay. And in that, the little guy, Mr. David that works with me, Mr. David Bowman, he sees a piece of a trophy. And he gets down in the dirt and digs it out of the dirt. Okay. And he comes in there and says, man, look at that. That trophy's stolen. And I looked at the trophy, and it was an award for when Miss Donna played in, come on, help me out. You remember the stories where they would be, she played, oh my Lord, I can't. This is a great time for me to remember this, but what was the show?
Was it a soap opera?
Yeah, no, it was like they'd have little skits and a guy would come home and.
Hee-haw?
No, it was like scary shows.
Oh. Tales from the Crypt?
No. Remember, come on, it was the most popular thing.
Oh, Twilight Zone.
Oh, my God. Hey, 57, getting old. But anyway, it was an award that she won, a silver cup, for playing in the Twilight Zone.
Come on.
Oh, it was in the dirt. So we brought it up. It brought like $2,500 at the auction.
Oh, I bet.
He dug it out of the dirt.
Unbelievable.
I went by and watched the show on the Twilight Zone. Do you know how many words she said for that one she won the award for?
How many?
None.
Come on.
It had a picture of the doctors. If you go back and watch the Twilight Zone, go back and watch it with Donna Douglas.
Yeah.
And they got a doctors with mask on, right?
Yeah.
And they're all looking at Donna Douglas, Miss Donna, and she's so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And they're talking to each other going, wonder what's wrong with her. God, she's just so gross. Wonder what happened to her. It's got to be a defect. It's got to be. And at the end of the show, they all take it off and they got hog heads.
Oh, wow.
That was a Twilight Zone. But here's the other thing out of that estate, Jim, and I think it's pretty cool too, is that out of that estate, my Mr. David reaches in the utility room before I walk out and grabs the stack of Walmart pink hats. Okay, she had like a stack of 10 of them.
Sure, yeah.
I said, what are you doing? David said, watch. We sold them first in auction. They brought like $70 a piece.
Unbelievable.
And we passed them out. It was just Walmart $5 hats, but it belonged to Miss Donna.
That's right. It was
you
who
know
was
what I mean?
wearing those hats that made all the
So
difference.
that's a
in the
couple
world.
good stories.
Yeah,
for you
that
anyway.
really is. I love that
Yeah.
Twilight Zone story. That's interesting. If we could only remember that name, McHugh.
Thank God he was here, right?
Thank
Or
goodness.
you?
Look, I say that to him all the time.
Thank God he. As a matter of fact, I expected him to come up with it quicker than that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of let
he's
down.
slipping. Yep. So you have a large auction coming up. We're going to get into this. It's with the Zachary Historical District. Zachary Historical District. I'm going to say that again for everybody out there. I was so interested in this auction that I'm Googling everything I can on Zachary Historical District. I want to hear all about it. All these viewers are going to want to hear all about it. And if you can go ahead and let us know, I know it's an in-person event. Are you doing a Facebook Live on it as well? Only in person? Kind of tell us all that information.
First of all, I'm very happy that the city of Zachary pick our company to be able to do this because
That's a huge honor.
Well, it's also I love to have auctions that really have historical meaning.
Yeah.
What they had, and I never knew the city of Zachary had this. Maybe you did, Jim, but they had an historical district.
Yeah.
In that historical district, they had 5 antebellum homes that were donated. You read that, huh?
I have said, I actually Googled it after
I didn't know that.
I didn't know before that.
I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Mr. Brian at Brian Furniture, who's a good customer of ours and a great man. He called me and said, Tony, this, he's from Zachary. He said, this is right up your alley. You're the only one I know can handle one this big. I said, an historical district? I didn't even know Zachary had an historical district. So we drive out there, and they've got 5 antebellum homes. In these 5, let me cover it all. They got 5. They had 5 antebellum homes that were all decorated like the time of the home, which the McHugh home is from 1890. The Allison home's from 1880. Another house, I'm just throwing numbers up. The Bowman house from 1905. So what they've done is, the Bourne is old, the general store. And what they've done is took these antebellum homes and decorated them years ago. Exactly what it would have been like if you walked in at that time period.
Awesome.
Except would way extra than me and you would have.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about? In other words, it's a lot more than, well, some people like a lot of clutter now. Yeah. So, and it's amazing. I mean, when I went up there, my expectations, I got to tell you, being in a business as long as I have, Jim, I somewhat absolutely didn't expect what I found. I was blown away. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 of the antebellum homes. One of them's been sold to Magnolia Cafe in St. Francisville. Yeah. Well, they opened up a restaurant/reception hall in one of them. So the stuff out of it's been moved and spread over the other 3. We're going to do Saturday starting at 10 o'clock. The address is 4650 Main Street in Zachary. We're going to have preview that Friday from 5 to 7 where you can come walk through. CDC protocol is going to be in effect. The city of Zachary enforces this. Yeah. Is that if you can't social distance and wear a mask, when we actually have the auction, it's not going to be a problem social distancing. Yeah. There's big acreage all around each house. We're going to go, and it starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Saturday, we're going to do the McHugh house, liquidated. The Allison home house, liquidate the movable contents, and the Bowman home, and the antique barn, and the general store, and the railroad depot, and the fire station. We're going to do it all Saturday. I know that's biting off a big, but Sunday, we have to move locations to Old Scenic Highway to the Anderson home, Anderson antebellum home, and it's loaded. So we're going to just, the positive thing we got is lighting. Yeah. So we're just going to keep grinding and put some stuff together that may be $5 items. You put 10 of them together instead of, but if you go to our website at Southern Heirs Auction, I'm sorry, if you go to our Facebook page, Southern Heirs Auction, and you go look at the Zachary Historical District Auction event. You know, each one's got a different, and you click on that and you hit the discussion tab. I got a video of every house in there.
Okay.
So you can actually go through. We done walkthroughs. They're all about 10 minutes long. So bear with us. We went through the barn, but and I know how many times do you see, I know in 33 years, Jim, I don't see them, is the antique wooden wash tubs. You know, the ones you carry your clothes in, or you wash in them, or you carried water in them, or we don't even see them anymore. There must be 50 there. Okay. Railroad lanterns, furniture, mirrors, antique signs.
Love the antique signs. You should have never told me that.
My God. And it's just,
be there.
Jim, it's just so much. It's a little overwhelming, but we're going to make, you know, everybody's welcome. You're going to come up. You can come preview Friday, 5 to 7, right? You're going to register in if you want to Friday. That way, when you get there, bring your own chairs. And if you're planning on buying smalls, bring some glass boxes. Yeah. Because we're going to hand them to you in the crowd. So if you buy them, we're going to just hand them to you. You know what I'm talking about? So we're going to try to move extremely, extremely fast and get this stuff done Saturday, then come back Sunday and hit another sale. But let me clarify one thing. I've seen a lot of comments on my Facebook page from people of Zachary who is, and I don't live in Zachary, so maybe I have the right to say nothing, but I've seen them aggravated because we're selling off Zachary's history. Well, no, the homes are still going to be there and got to remain in the same condition. They're just revitalizing it.
Sure.
They're going to take that same home and put a restaurant in it, or that same, honest to God, the mayor said nobody even went downtown and looked at this stuff like they used to.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care like they used to.
Yeah.
So, and the city of Zachary has to maintain these. They have, I'm telling you, it costs some money.
Oh, yeah.
When you start talking about it, do you imagine if it costs to keep one up?
Right.
Much less 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to make it a lot of fun. It's going to be catered by Magnolia Fields. They're going to be there selling food, drinks, everything you want that day.
Yeah.
William Waldrep of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrep of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great event, and you bring up a good point. You know, just the maintenance of those things, Tony. I've went to Natchez and seen beautiful antebellum homes, and I'm like, I want to buy that. And the price is right. You know, these are shockingly cheap, and then you find out about how the upkeep is and how expensive that is. It kind of triples the value of that home right off the bat because you got to put $40,000 a year into just the maintenance of it. You know, these are beautiful older homes, and maybe one day, but not this day. But you know, you got to be someone that's okay with knowing that every year you're going to have to, and it's very expensive. So you're right. They're revitalizing it. This is a way to raise funds to do that. And hey, the people of Zachary certainly can go bid on these things and keep them right there in Zachary.
And Jim, like the mayor said, we're going to take all this money and put it right back in downtown Zachary.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, now we'll say some of the stuff is original to the houses, but a lot of the stuff they brought in and put in these houses. So you're not selling off Zachary's history. The homes are still there. You know,
these are hundreds and hundreds of items, I would imagine, total.
Jim, I'm going to say 2,000 to 3,000.
Wow. That's an opportunity, folks. 2,000 to 3,000 items. And
I'm not sure it's not
they're
more
going
than
to have food. Yeah, maybe even more. They're going to have food. You can go on Facebook, as Mr. Tony said, and you can look at their walkthroughs. And I'm sure if you're like me, you're going to see 50 or 60 things right off the bat that you're like, oh, I'd love to bid on that. I'm excited. I'll be there. That sounds like
feeding you that day, Jim.
I love it.
I'm feeding you that day. Remember to have a tab for Jim Chapman in Magnolia Fields. All the food's free for you.
I love it.
Even a little beer and wine if you drink it.
I never turn down free food or free beer.
Now you got to come eat.
Now I got to come eat. There's no doubt about it. I'm excited about it. And everybody watching this probably is too. Bring up a little quick story about signs, and you talk about antique signs that they're going to have there for people like me that love those. Denham Springs. So, I'll drive around, and since the flood, you have buildings that never came back. I'll give you 2 quick stories. I have a friend that works for SportNCenter, and SportNCenter, they do signs and things like that for people. So some of these people like Denham Springs Country Club, I used to go there all the time, play golf.
Me too.
Loved Denham Springs Country Club because Twilight, I could do it for $7 with a cart back in the day. And oh man, and de-stress and just go out there and hack. But they have since got new signs. Well, him and I were talking. I said, what are you doing with that old Denham Springs Country Club sign? His old metal sign that hung up above the thing. He said,
I helped put that on there.
Yeah. Well, I have it now.
Get out of here.
They were chunking it, and I said, give it to me. And my buddy James Adam McCants over at SportNCenter said, you want it?
I know James.
Yeah.
And Stacey Phelps ain't no better guy.
Yeah. Oh, there is no better guy than Stacey.
You'll never, ever, you can go to all these big sports stores you want to go, but you'll never get the personal service you get from Stacey Phelps at SportNCenter.
No, you really won't. And
James,
both of them great people. And so he gave me that, which I'm going to hang in my office.
That is awesome.
But also he called me. I've been driving past Dodge City Veterinary Clinic right down the road here in Denham. They flooded, they moved buildings, they actually went across the street, and they had a very old sign that they had up hung on the top of the building.
I know the sign.
Every day I would pass that and I would say, I want that sign. I just didn't want to see it destroyed, Tony. Yeah. And eventually they had moved, they forgot about it. So I mentioned it to James Adam one day. I said, man, I would love to have that sign. He said, you won't believe this, but that lady is actually picking up some stuff today, and I'll ask her if you can have it. I said, well, do that. So he did. She said, well, I don't know why he wants that, but if he wants it, sure. And James shows up in my office. He's got the sign in the back. He says, I got bad news for you. That sign ain't hanging up no more. I said, oh, man. He said, it's in the back of my truck. So I pulled it out, but I put it in my front showroom of my office. And those are, to me, those are priceless, because that's Denham Springs, Livingston Parish history, and those things at some point could have been destroyed. But
you're going to preserve
Dodge City Vet Clinic. I really thank you for doing that, and trust me, everybody that walks in my office is going to see your advertisement right there on my wall. Awesome. But a beautiful piece of wood, man, that's just aged over time to perfection.
If you ever decide to get rid of the Denham Springs Country Club, I'm in.
Look, it's awesome, and I started to adjust. It had faded, and I said, I'm not touching it. I'm leaving it just like that. Absolutely. And you can still make it out fine, but anyway, that's another story. So check out the Zachary Historical District one more time, Tony. When is it, and when's pre-register and all that kind of
registration and preview is next Friday, October 2nd, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, 4650 Main Street. Look for the signs. We'll start our sales Saturday at preview at 9 o'clock. First item will be sold Saturday at 10 o'clock. We're going to move from house to house. Bring your own chairs, bring your glass boxes, and we're going to move from house to house and sell one out each individually. Awesome. And then Sunday, we're going to go to Scenic Highway and sell out the old Victorian Mansion. It's on Scenic Highway. We'll get the address. It's on my Facebook. But go to Facebook, Southern Heirs Auction, and look for the Zachary Historic Liquidation tab event. And then when you open that event, hit discussion. That's where all the videos are posted. and we'd love to have y'all. It's going to be great.
It is. It's really, I'm looking forward to it. I know everybody else that is into auctions and Southern Heirs Auctions and wants to support them in the parish. Head on out there and let's make a big showing in Livingston Parish and head on out there and support our good friend here, Mr. Tony Achord and Southern Heirs Auction. Now, I got two more questions for you. The first is, we talked about it earlier. You support the community and you give back.
Absolutely.
You're a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Not only are you a member, you were actually the member of the year in 2015, I believe it was. Yeah, so that's quite an honor. There's only one of those a year, so you were it. There's only one, and but it's a testament to you giving back to the Chamber of Commerce, which I personally feel is an extremely worthwhile organization.
April does an unbelievable job.
She really does, and
we are very, very fortunate to have her.
Yeah, we really are. She's a smart cookie too.
She is a smart cookie and a hard worker.
And she will keep you on your toes. Trust me when I tell you.
Amen. Amen.
So, how important is it to Southern Heirs Auction that we all kind of support each other when it relates to business? When the chips are down, LP pulls together, do we not?
Oh, absolutely.
We get a flood, no problem. We can take care of ourselves. We'll pull each other out the water. We'll help each other rebuild and all those sorts of things.
Livingston Parish.
That's right. And you're a lifelong resident. I just want to get your thoughts on that. How blessed do you feel to live in the parish?
You know, I told you before that I was LP before it was cool.
Yeah.
And I can't, the words don't describe how much I love my parish. I love the business owners. I love our community leaders. And you know what's amazing to me, and I see it time and time again, is Livingston Parish takes care of their own. And if they're in need, if you want to see a parish rush to help, you want to see a parish that is always there when they need them, come to Livingston. If you got a kid that's sick, this parish flocks. And I can't tell you how sorry I am for the kid at Denham Springs. I can't imagine the loss of that family. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know him, but I've cried for him. And my heart's broken for him. But I've seen his whole parish pull together with his family, and it's like that we all live in one small town, right? You know what I mean? Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And what I love about Livingston Parish is that regardless of the circumstance, they're all going to be there. You need help, they're going to be there. We may argue with each other. We may fuss about road money. We may fuss about sewer. We may fuss about Ward 2 water. We might fuss about the sewer district. But when it comes to it for the people, we're all going to come together. And it doesn't all it does is get better, Jim.
That's right.
All it does is get better. And because of people like you.
Yeah, well, more like you, Tony.
I appreciate it.
Trust me when I tell you.
I'm blushing.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's a special thing we have here as a community.
Absolutely.
It is very rare to this extent, and we've been through a lot together, have we not?
Amen.
I mean, we've seen the worst of times, and we just push through it like it's no problem, and that speaks to who we are as a community. And that's why I do what I do and you do what you do with all your extra work that you do for the community. And you know, there's no replacement for that.
You know, they say God said to love your neighbor.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's a parish in this state that exemplifies that like Livingston Parish.
I agree.
You know, I'm just going to tell you
God's country.
God's country, baby.
You know, and so that's fantastic. I wanted to give you one fun fact, Tony, on auctioning. I looked this up last night. I thought it was very interesting, and I said, I got to bring this up on the show. So the entire Roman Empire was once put up for auction. And I'm going to read you a little paragraph, and this is interesting. The most advanced civilization in the world was once put up for sale to the highest bidder during the year 193 AD. The guards of the time murdered the emperor Pertinax. Upon gaining control of the empire, they decided to profit. So they put the whole thing up for sale. A bidding war ensued, And Julianus was declared the winner and a lofty price equivalent to $1 billion American dollars. How would you like the little side money on that deal? $1 billion.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So
$1 billion and 193. Wow.
Yeah, that would be the equivalency. And he was quickly dethroned after he defaulted on his bid. So he never paid it. And they said, well, this ain't going to work. So
Is that where it comes king for a day?
Yeah, that's right. That could be. Yeah, that's right. So, Tony Achord, how can folks find you on social media if they want to look you up? I know we talked about your Facebook. Let's mention that again.
You can also go to www.southernheirs, that's spelled HEIRS.com. And if you got any other questions, you can call our office at 225-791-2440. We will call you back.
There you go. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming
Jim,
on.
I'm blessed.
This was awesome. I could talk to you all day about just life, but I do have a couple gifts for you.
What?
Yes, I do. I'm going to reach over here in my
Are you kidding me?
Bag of tricks. I'm going to give you a few things. So the first thing, of course, anybody in Livingston Parish has to have Livingston Parishopoly. This is a gift from me to you. Oh, my God. You can put that on the shelf or you can bust it out and play your kids.
No, we're never opening.
So,
never opening that, brother.
That's your retirement right there, Tony.
That's my retirement.
I know you're
I didn't know they had this.
Yeah, everybody I give that to says, where did you get that?
BJ Pawn and Gun has been servicing the Livingston Parish community since 1990. If you need it, there's a good chance BJ Pawn has it. So go see them in Denham Springs. They're a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
You know, it was on the shelf at a store. And
you got to be kidding.
I happened to have a friend text me and they said, this would be perfect to give out on your show. And I went up and bought a bunch.
Jim, I love it. Thank you so much.
No problem. I know you're a hunter.
Big hunter.
So how about this from Farrell Calhoun Paint? This is a camo hat. So you can hide in them woods from all those deer.
You might want to call me once a week. I'll do this every week with you.
Look, they keep on coming. This is from SportNCenter. So what this is a local leaders, because you are a local leader. This is a local leaders podcast mug. SportNCenter has a machine that can actually etch this out. They can etch metal. They've got all kinds of different designs. I did a podcast all about it with James Adam McCants last week that's on YouTube now. So you can check that out. But that's from James Adam, Stacy, and all the good folks at SportNCenter.
Thank you.
And one more for you.
No, not a shirt.
One more. I got you a T-shirt. This is a great Local Leaders of Podcast T-shirt. You can wear that whenever you're out in the yard cutting grass or whatever.
Jim,
but
you're the man.
It's ultra soft, my brother. Ultra soft.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, thank you. I would like to thank this guy right here, McHugh David. He's amazing. He's amazing. He is the man of little words and much action. That's what I call him.
You can't do without him, Jim.
That's it. I can't. I really can't. So I'd like to thank McHugh David for his engineering of the podcast. My guest, Mr. Tony Achord of Southern Heirs Auction, the Livingston Parish News for the space, and all you viewers and listeners for your support. Please follow me on all my social media and spread the word. I'd like to thank my sponsors for this show as well. I simply could not do this without all of you. If you're interested in sponsoring Local Leaders, a podcast, or appearing on the show, reach out to me by emailing jim@paintpodcast.com. If you're interested in getting my newsletter, The Weekly Leader, straight to your inbox, I'll attach the link in the description of this podcast, where I will also attach all of Mr. Tony's social media, so it'll make it real easy for you to click on it and go right to his site. And I'll probably attach some pictures of the auction coming up this weekend that you have on there. Until next time, I am Jim Chapman, reminding you to love your community, support local business, and keep